A low species value nature system. Anthony Wall here from youtube.com/user/Romulus Wall. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is about what God is about. Per algebra, per algebraic consciousness. This is not how algebra is conceived, because each of the sciences are conceived criminally re-engineered, self-obfuscated, maintained, motivated, that per natures of off the records, only understood through line progressions shared by nations individually grouped and together, misprision, and that maintained, not realizing how having had value, that since per a crime method that was entrenched here as an adaptation means, and as a means not just to hold, because they knew they couldn't hold people in those crazy laws forever. But this is about God, as distinctly from the identity of perfect value progression. Allah's name is used to teach English. This would be self-obfuscated. This is a part where the war, also where they have many nations with psychology and with prisons and with identity theft rackets and sustained abuses of each age of fact, cheaping nature's quality of value to what causes positive or negative value nature progression. So that value to us all. That's why we are bonded as a relationship to the three natures of volume. That's why we have three natures of volume ourselves: water, matter, and identity nature. And more value. So the phenomenon of more exception nature, showing it, energy. A simultaneous nature keeps the phenomenon of what will only stay a complete nature of volume, increasing nature of volume. A heartbeat. Why do animals have heartbeats? Birds, because animals. Heartbeats, because everything's in demonstration of this course, which is most logical. Really, always, when you use the identity of logic, this is about the sciences share an identity. We have religions entrenched, pretending to be care for them and to be care for the Constitution, but care for them, it's to not be entrenched with them as roles, with convictions about them that are indefensible for people who need to defend themselves, where they need religion to say, don't steal our identities. They're still doing this. They're still doing this. They're attaching lies to every little truth they find, making it a lie. If you're attaching a lie to a truth consciously, that's a lie. Especially when it is being exploited for that. Agreements that were associated with Jim Crow laws, let alone. They're worse than sick trade agreements. Each age of fact, cheaping nature, each individual grouped together progressively in every modern nation. This knew that it was going to hurt every modern nation. Every new modern nation was going to value its hurt already, because we came from a semi-ancient trap that came from before semi-ancient messengers of religions, which came after the Campus Martius was already criminally re-engineered. That's what the Alpha and the Omega are about. Where the imperfect, not imperfect, it's all perfect. It's only perfect, only complete nature. That's different, perfect. We're the only, I forget, we're a perfect value progression. that is positive or negative in relationship to an identity is identity of relationship to itself. The identity that causes inventions to work or not in relationship to itself. The value nature systems don't work. To admit that is a nature that is simultaneously realizing that has market positions that don't know how to each science is a job valuing roles with a value nature system that is a torture system. So we have to admit it to be practical, which is more than practical. To admit this and to not have markets as constitution abridged excuses, breaching screens and tools. So we'll never be able to afford anything. We're in the pathology of our infrastructure forced on our founders. Our founders were fact cheap nature slaves. Every modern nation's founders were forced into this trap to have them so many everyone engineered blaming others, needing to blame others and blame other things and blame themselves for the real and blame leaders distinctly and non-distinctly, blame other people, group / sexes distinctly and non-distinctly, and blame individuals, which is supposed to be the first most powerful. When we make the Constitution what we're supposed to do and make it power for the individual nature of volume first, that only forces evolution. Order is supposed from overall down before criminal foreign influences. Purely native knows there's a bond there already gripped to and as the value of the order of the finite, as the value stronger than power and might, where and how it counts, where and how the science about how we are a forever nature that has a positive or negative relationship to itself as a quality of diffusion ourselves, not just as we're making as more volume is being made as us and as with what is simultaneous, so it can be itself more and more a complete positive or negative relationship to itself, yet simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly, Earth's fleeting values, only because we're only one species. That's why it took so long. Vaccine is strong, but give it rest. I tell it best, the science is sharing identity vaccines. I tell it stinks. We are three natures of volume to see and to discern how a semi-nature is coming in with this. And how we are only a semi-nature of it because it has three semi-natures at the same time. Same time, 5 semi-natures being filled as one, distinctly and non-distinctly. So we come to the heartbeat. See, well, I'm rushing ahead, so then we'll put debatable before, it's most logical because before something had to be bonded, like planets, they had to be generated. There's the order to that, not just with the finite, that's connected to the one overall. And that's inseparable from the value of our quality of fact nature in relationship to the identity that is those three things at once. And when you discern that and how it was those three things at once, Allah Akbar. The Trinity is with an identity that is greater than it, that is positive or negative relationship to itself. Now we're talking about three semi-natures of invisible but still discernible. One, the order to the body of the finite, order to the body of the active value, simultaneous nature value of our fact-cheaping nature in relationship to what causes positive or negative value nature progressions, evolution, and or not. Lethe of Hades or not, force space nature transfer away, also criminal insidiousness nature. So you can't legalize that, but everyone's a victim predators for a method that had that. See, they engineered. It's demonstrable that the ancients had more sophistication understood about. In other words, before there were criminally foreign influenced internation sciences, and that made tactically, willfully, wantingly, to make state scenario sciences not value internation sciences per one of the first phases of it, which is, of course we have to have theory on the past, but when we see the theories on the past that we know were wrong and repeated through generations, and if you study what was really motivating that, and what pretends just because it's not on the record we can't see. In other words, we have a nature of sophistication that is a base not its own, but not it's each modern nation is not its own. This was revealed English by the entire species working together, and that's what revealed what went into making the Old Testament and the Quran, and distinctly and non-distinctly Islam, and distinctly and non-distinctly Christianity, and distinctly and non-distinctly as cipher and decipher, in a context where our human fact treatment nature was already confined, forced to value and justify sensibilities in relationship to fact treatment nature criminally foreign influenced, as cause to the negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. Negative value nature progressions acts like predicate acts, and natures like criminal insidiousness natures, and like wrongdoers, which are organized crime terms. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a police form, not a criminal. The sciences share an identity, and each of them are obfuscating it, and everyone could only fathom that now, not by accident. This broke everyone. No, if someone goes to war, it's because you need denatured streets, you need people to go, you need denatured landscapes, tactically denatured and long valued denatured human fact treatment nature through campuses, through fact treatment nature sciences, on and off that, sensibilities in relationship to that. They need to force glorified offensively and force pretended righteously vicious, sick natures of positive that are not positive. They're criminal insidiousness nature. And this is about the organized crime that the religions are about, like the beginning of the Quran. It's about what they translate as wrongdoers. And this is because a whole bunch of nations grouped, hundreds of nations there are, all in since semi-ancient times, value nature systems, not just tactically ulterior, but to play that methodically with nations A through Z, members A through Z of nations A through Z, and then tribes A through Z, from the time they can remember it, taking into first they took away their education. May everyone not even remember the Native Americans. That's what they're trying to remember. This is an identity of the ground's value relationship, value simultaneously, inseparably from our quality of fact treatment nature. For ourselves, for groups / sexes, and for the species nature of volume bonded inseparable from each at the same time. To see this is only an increasing nature of volume. Either stay here as more or forced from here. Lethe of Hades. You see, each of they re-engineered pantheism to only be remembered about many gods, because it was about the identity of value progression that was self-generating, and then brought the order to the value of the core of Earth, simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly from the core of other planets. Simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly, with and as the value of diffusion from that, inseparable from our quality of fact treatment nature. Active. And for example, this is too involved with like what we're going to do with the ancient gaming system and the New York game and Campus Marcius. In other words, when you could see that our American history is about understanding that there was that and how there was a entrenched, breaching organized crime method here that was against, even if it was recorded against the colonists, everyone, and everyone was valuing roles with it though, and that was because everyone was forced into it. From abroad, there were natures of slaves. Who's going to come over and do that to Native Americans so insidiously and so sickly? No, they weren't trying to kill all the Native Americans. They were using and are using a method of maintained self-value, tactically devalued fact treatment nature. And they're making, it's, entertained. And that's because we have value nature systems and uses of reality only let realize valued that way. Opinions dishonest. And courts never having facilitated our needs to be able to say, look, we can see you guys are criminally foreign influenced. We know you're lying when you say the Jim Crow laws. And when people don't think they're lying about that, what are they saying? Oh, it's about space, land. It's all tactically denatured, specifically because and Native Americans are still alive, so they didn't lose anything. And if they want to say, "Oh, we won," you didn't win anything, because if you can't even respect that and how we have an organized crime, criminal foreign influences, we have breaching organized crime method with military undercover, interbranch undercover. See, forgiveness is about how we have to be able to describe the organized crime method and the identities of each branch recorded criminally foreign influenced, originally instilled, the same way they are now, reveals and were through generations. Think about across the nations, how we have these little box infrastructures, threats, and things coming. Everyone goes, oh, no one has the time for this stuff because of what is sustained on each age of fact treatment nature, sustained methodically on each nature of correlation, nature, in what I had that valued originally and still, methodically, in relationship to the trap this was engineered as. So we're gonna learn about how Mark Twain House is right next to the Harriet Beecher Stowe House. Mark Twain's a man who wrote wrote one book about Huckleberry Finn. I believe that's the one. I don't remember the name of which one was which book, but he had one. We had a young whippersnapper, whatever they called it back then, the young kid who was a colonist, and they had a narrative. Because I want to tell you about theater, and then what's counter theater that evil sick, and that's theater too. It's criminal insidious nature. So we have this whole industry industries, because greater than slavery is the individual was the overall one, and as the value of the slavery, it's the slavery of Native American. Anything that's not Native American pure, not native pure, is not the perfect value progression gaining here. So it's forced from here and demonstration of it. See, this is a value of intercampus systems, tactical ulterior from what they have been used for since before our founders were born here. The hundreds of nations now and entities with that and overt criminal enterprises and all kinds of natures of industries that could never be justified and defended the surface values of the Constitution at once, originally and still. That's how they left states and areas aren't supposed to be entrenched with religions. Religious is supposed to be defended from top down, federal. See, we have collusion with sensibilities. Then when someone needs to protract correlation nature, correlation nature's Trinity simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means. Those means are one identity's identity of relationship to itself. One greater than the four directions. As far as all space together could go right to left will always be bigger than it. An identity as a semi-nature. Left to right will always be bigger than it as a semi-nature. And overall up as a semi-nature that bonded planets. And that grip and that nature of itself that can't be itself but one way. So it's a value transfer, but that transfer makes a simultaneous gain that forces gain here as evolution or forces it from here because its identity is everywhere. But there's also ours is distinct from it, but it's as its same nature of volume. We're a little bit more forever nature is positive or negative in relationship to it. Which is an identity inseparable from everywhere. But this is also, see, this is a quality diffusion. You know, its complete identity is not the worth of what is the all of a value of a bond, not life. It is not the value of a bond of plant life with no heart. But it is because, anyway, simultaneously, because of what that enables, and because it has no criminal foreign influences, trees, green, the rest of the animals, unless through us. Some crazy pets out there. They're join me in VR. PewDiePie is live. That's one of the top YouTubers. And forgot the other one. I was forgot what I was talking about now. 24 minutes. So the New York game is about the species coach is part of it, of this. But see, this is to understand the nature of organized crime that made and keeps each age of fact, human nature, each individual, group / sections, and together for a crime method that is intercampuses confessing and recording distinctly, individually, grouped, and together how various natures of police forms, of political families, and of judicial families in every modern nation are defending roles as victim predators, as life aggressions tied to their convictions about their relationship to the identity of the ground and its relationship to our quality of fact, human nature, which again has been tactically devalued and maintained valued that way methodically since semi-ancient times because they knew they could make the phenomena of what unfolded as they knew what it would as modern nations defending suits and ties roles with natures of campuses relationship to the identity of the ground and all space nature that are going to be state negative value nature regressions acts and natures that would anticipate that could engineer as sophistication that was also used for our fake sides many nations at once roles with the Trade Center attack crimes with uses of Allah's name wrong there and here as fake sides hating each other fighting each other because these are people as fake sides this is what the beginning of the Quran is about. These are liars across the board because we're in a value nature systems that they're not letting people, the people of Christianity understand their own book in sequence, valuing the sequence nature it's about. It's not about it's not about leaving out the organized crime that it's about too. That already had the human fact treatment nature. Defending quality of fact treatment nature, many ways degraded because they knew how to cause evolution. We have Native Americans, even once they already had a tactically denatured landscape, they had no cars and stuff like that. They had deeper ponds, more means. They didn't let anyone have means. They forced everyone to try to figure out a quality of fact treatment nature problem solutions and only be able to let solutions through filters that are keeping breaching screen, criminally foreign influenced, even our American history, our founding fathers' identity stolen, our core stolen, which is about this organized crime method. It's also about as an organized crime method that is misprision. So we have people facilitate. It's also how they facilitate people to crimes and federal crimes that are verbal and already having invested branches to roles with things like witch trials. Can't play games with witch trials. The president is trying to explain about witch trials. When the president respects President Obama and President, but when there are exceptions, when the political parties force entertained tactics against each other. And they don't know how to talk about that. And that's being forced because each age of fact-cheating nature is raised by criminal and seditious nature with crime methods already used since before everyone was born to have that value, already exploited. In other words, we have people who go and they study and they counter this because this nation does this to us and this nation does that. Why do you think they're with nuclear bombs and wasting money on that when they're still stacked and criminally foreign influenced, tactically denatured relationship identity of the ground? Water means these aren't what we could afford. Before they had cars, they forced these nature of infrastructure that's glorified now. Every year the earth gets packed. All the leaves, everything taken away, nothing break down. All the life, the microorganisms, the fungi and stuff like that, many kinds inside the soils, and that brought all the seeds to life. That won't just say, "Oh, just keep going." See, Earth's value leaves through us, Lethe of Hades, because humanity, because of our criminal foreign influences, because we're using identities of value of markets value progression systems that are tactically ulterior from this one. All we have to do is admit that and lock it down and call this worse than bottom. Bring reliefs to everyone. That makes everyone who's already better off right there ready to help because then and we're admitting that so it's not illegal to help who's not a fair chance anyway, not because they don't have the right amount of money in the cities, and all the more money they put into it, they should give to the books, give them to the parents. Though they have to stop giving things to kids because they're wasting time too. Time is being used as a weapon, each spot of it. Because this is the organized crime method that you can see, you can discern deeper and deeper when you think about how they put those laws the way they did. The fact treatment nature slavery of every single person on this continent, every single person in every modern nation, even kings. You say, oh, they're rich though. But they don't have free speech except for equality that's forced to entertain states and areas with their nature of being content like this while throughout the world, not just people stacking. This is in natures of relationship to nature that were designed to make negative value nature progressions, acts in natures caused and maintained for sustained value, and that value blamed on other things, on others themselves. That's what they were doing when they were doing all those crazy laws, so no one could describe it. This is misprision. People, everyone facilitated to this, including the branches, including every science, every campus. It's originally about this identity that came from before ground as the identity of the ground, as the identity that is active, as the identity that is progressive, and then as its further positive or negative contribution to this values perfect value progression, values nature. Value al is the definite article of Arabic in Allah's name. So the Allah is the identity, per my translation, of of the perfect value progression, of what generated matter, and you can see that is this Trinity. Now, when Jesus says he is the Alpha and he is the Omega, Yale's website has a picture of Jesus Christ with a A on to his left, where the alphabet starts left to right, A, and on his left side, on his so on his right side, now we're facing here. So if excuse me, so wait, forget it. So it's left to right. On the right side of Jesus facing us is the W. I don't know what the hell I was thinking of. The W, when he said, that's the picture that comes with that. Jesus saying he is the Alpha, he is the Omega, and he has the halo behind him and it's lit. Because this identity is an identity of invisible but still discernible nature of value progression, a value of nature of value as nature, and nature as value simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly too. That's how we could see the invisible but still discernible. Not just that, and how it is us as a quality of fact, human nature. And so nobody knows how to respond because of the way time was used too. See, everyone was valuing their time roles with this. And then roles with opinions and convictions in relationship to how many natures of sustained impositions that no one ever fathomed around all kinds of people. Because individual rights, when we are being positive value nature here, that's going to cause evolution. The ancients knew how to cause evolution. They couldn't fathom that we could ever forget it. See, but it was tactically engineered, forgotten, worst of forgotten. They knew that if we are positive to the order, the value of the order of the finite, simultaneously positive to the value of the order of active body, the value of discernment, and of what's going to be progressive value. This is a nature of correlation nature, where prayer is a scientific term, not just contemplation. It's an active form of correlation. And then it's distinctly and non-distinctly what religions say. Distinctly and non-distinctly also as this identity is, onto all expanding values, as the expanding value of itself. More here, forced. Or forced away from here if it's not for the system. So there are 5 natures, 5 semi-natures of one invisible but still discernible through science identity of the nature of volume that all things are at once. That's also why we have all the parts of our body, all the organs of our body, they share having this identity that we are overall as their own at the same time, distinctly and non-distinctly. It's a simultaneous nature of value. While it is our complete identity, it's simultaneously a semi-nature relationship. That semi-nature relationship is either semi-nature or complete nature. It's semi-nature, in other words, only a little bit more of the value that's only in the game, being more and more positive, also positive unto itself. Allah. See, now this is a quality of fact, human nature that is about algebra, which Islam helped reveal. See, when they say, "Oh, extreme Islam," there and here they're maintaining fake sides, needing to keep them fighting each other because we had all kind of fact cheating nature, naive reactions that already valued that. Casey Neistat, that's something that's not his thing though. It's Nefer Kontish Posted Enterprise Network LMP. Casey Neistat was the other big YouTuber. I don't know who's the biggest now. Casey Neistat, New York City. The New York game is coming to New York City to heal New York City, to make it better for everyone in New York City. Including Casey Neistat. I believe he still lives there. One of the original YouTuber, one of the biggest original like big YouTubers were, you know, some people get a lot of people to watch them. But this is what is important to understand. This is the nature of organized crime, and that how it knew it was going to build recorded easily criminally foreign influenced directors of agencies, intelligence bodies against countering nations that were already invested, having had valued blaming on others and ourselves and others in the wrong thing. Everyone blaming each other, and that having been to sustain to what makes it even fathomable to have all these nations that enslaved each other, colonized each other, because they didn't really do it to each other. So when they found out, now they call themselves allies. But now they're exploiting what's only just staying fake sides, knaves to the group nations with justice systems, valuing the way they did originally, set up for whoever our founders were to counter it. And they did counter it. They stole their identities. They stole our history. They stole means to interpretation to interpret the value of Marbury versus Madison. I'm not a lawyer, not a police form, not a criminal. Real justice must satisfy all appearances of real justice. That means don't fake it. That means don't pretend there are needs to fake it. In other words, that's why they're appreciating having each age in this trap where in this crime method, they enter campuses on each age. They have a sustained crime method. And it begins with the grammar schools where they make lies. I mean, where they make confessions. And when people, you're going to see they're setting up where they're going to make confessions about their roles with overt criminal enterprises originally instilled with our areas. Now, this is how the branches individually grouped and together were criminally and are criminally foreign influenced. A whole bunch of ways, distinctly and non-distinctly. Simultaneously, this is how the campuses are criminally foreign influenced. A whole bunch of ways, distinctly and non-distinctly. And this is about the same time how on and off campuses, all the industries, and all the identities of the ground, relationship to means and needs to everything, criminally foreign influence distinctly and non-distinctly at the same time. Using this method, making confessions through the youngest kids. Using this method that knew they wouldn't be able to, they were going to make them. This is raising each identity of legal nature, criminally foreign influence, delusions raw. Worse. Knew that we're going to keep that valuing lie progressions to all spots. That really kept valued the forced tactically denatured relationship to nature means to afford to do anything. Since before they had cars, They were forced not to build any better. They would have done way better than we do now. They would have made ponds deeper. They would have fresh water, no pollution. Where they need pollution, have that in a junk river. Don't have or keep stocking things from some guy makes it. That guy makes money. All kinds of natures of business that are all valuing the negative value nature progression we're in. And then they pretend they're against the environment, which is a term, not nature. And our course is about nature. Al is the definite article. The is the definite article of English. Now watch this here, because they're obfuscating what they say is the diacritical markings. They're really tricritical. And this is about three natures, three semi-natures of invisible but discernible, and then of the two natures of it, and of the one to. So pantheism is about the identity, and God is value G. This is an algebraic term of the prayer as science. Per quality of fact, treatment, nature as science needs to discern value G with treatments of men and women non-distinctly, indistinctly. And that's because that's how this identity of that's filling the value of our volume as a simultaneous nature, because it can only be its own identity when we are positive onto ours at the same time, all of ours at the same time. When we're really positive onto ourselves, we want water, clean. We want the tactically denatured relationship to nature undone. And to afford it free, it's free, except for zoning laws that are not equal. And worse than that, we're not equal, and they were involved with torture. And they were involved with worse than slavery. Which is self-valued roles is worse than that. With the torture is about too. With the free speech never having been had, but other claimed. That needs to value the quickest thing you could find. People that just blind sacrifice for the country, jump out of planes. What else they do? Crazy things for the country. And they hope that someone's trying to do what President Trump tries to do. They don't let them do it. A quality of fact treatment nature. So with the FBI is sickly, grossly worse than incompetent regarding our American history, regarding the sensibilities of each age of fact treatment nature, regarding their roles, especially with psychology, private, juxtaposed with the branches individually grouped together, criminal with them, all private tied to them too. This is the worst interscience thing. They're with all kinds of Justice Department rackets in all kinds of nations like Russia and America, against Russians, against Americans. Their delusions raw, and they can't defend themselves on paper. This is tied to Joseph Mengele, which is all kinds of crazy things they did with medical here. That they left George Washington left overt slavery with color and with all those other things on. They didn't have free speech to counter. They were slaves themselves. Other ways, they had their identities forestolen. You know, they had to hide their roles. even with the extent they did, that we know, like Marbury versus Madison, which is, and then all you have to know is the free speech, free religion, and you have to know that's within integrity towards the surface of the value of the Constitution, and you have to know when they do little amendments and stuff like that, that's just a retreat reaction. Where you value your country is by valuing that constitutional right for every individual before they need an amendment. And if you see that need, then you show that. See, that's what we have to do. You have to show how we have worse than criminally foreign influenced directors of agencies. But people don't even know directors of agencies. How many of them? How many reporters saw former director of the FBI who was in district court in 2006 as a co-defendant with federal criminals, intercities, involved with a whole bunch of people that went to my schools I had nothing to do with, and as ones that pretended other real fast. I had nothing. You have no means to do it, and they steal your identities. A whole bunch of people associated with DACA and with Fox Connecticut News and with WFSB criminally. Hartford Current is reported criminally, and they blocked my post now too on Facebook. They're using Facebook interbranch with them too for sex crimes, sexual harassments of each age of men, women, and girls. Even their own Facebook pages interbranch, intercampuses, and with child offenders and medical crime acts with the kids. Because they invested themselves with drug clicks and other natures of crimes they were facilitated to with various natures of courts and their family members. Leading up to the 2006 case, leading up to the Trade Center attack case in the Ninth Circuit, it was proven that there was a sequence shift, post-dated documents shown to the panel of judges right before the Trade Center attack. And then that court got shut down right then. But see, it was worse. That was recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. See, but to me and to others, but I'm the only one who understands that. So I'm the only one who understands that. So the people made confessions to me about Fiennes as a stranger. Was influenced per interbranch to seek us out and to make confessions about his role and demonstrations of his roles with the Dillon family and with the body dumping spot of a Billy Grasso and with his crimes with people associated with the WFSB and with Fox CT's location and the owners of a building that him and other people confessed that I don't know either. They used confessions, sequential Rick Chamfayon and other people recorded confessed crimes with courts and on-off CCSU crimes, identity theft clicks, and crimes with the Lethe family, also with predicate acts that attached me to completely fake conversations that weren't at all, as assault crime rolls too, because I didn't want to talk to him. Then he got mad, forged names of people or whatever they did. And because they also pretended I talked about agency like a CIA. They brought up the CIA. Then they were spreading the rumors with their same drug clicks that they're pretending they had a conversation with me online so they can pretend that they believe things that they know are not true. Because they had a whole bunch of people from my area that I never hung around with, that hung around with the one that they would send in to make confessions to me, with other people too. I had straight stream of confessions and insights into all kinds of natures of bad things in the areas But they say they're not that much because they compare it. It's unbelievably too many. Too many times on Garden Street. Too many times, not by accident, them blaming the wrong causes for these problems, for shootings, especially if made up, because that's not a nature of relationship to nature that is acceptable per the quality of fact human nature takes to explain history properly. And while we have these little rap mobs with identity thefts from the youngest age, spreading lies with overt criminal enterprises through time categorically, sequentially, and progressively, timed for crime methods, then that raises each age of fact human nature, needed to hide things about the past, needed to speak with others, you know, about people they only know in context they can't be honest about. And it was interbranch too, though. So they're making them value that because now interbranch is preventing themselves from being told on, while these people are just rat mobs throwing everyone away criminally, sticking all their life progressions and pretending other people did those things, pretending others do it, pretend they think they should counter this way. They never see it coming. They see it coming, but they're not let free speech real young. The same people ending up in jail, not able to read whatever. This is not because it's not money. It's because we're simultaneously exploiting each age of fact human nature simultaneously too. And because they did that through to kids so long, you have to be able to understand and have the simultaneous natures of reliefs that coincide with each other and relief where they don't too at the same time. Each age of fact should be, we're going to blame anyone but this, because that's the organized crime method does. It keeps everyone blaming other things and others themselves because it's got fake positive natures. Everyone's has some psychologist thinking for them. They say, oh, what do you think about God? God is an algebraic term that then they make this term with Islamic extremism. This is a gaining nature of extreme. This is the gaining nature of volume we are. This is why one of the important reasons why there are sexes manifest for the discernment of this simultaneously actively, inherently actively, and progressively. And further, as positive as complete identity of relationship to itself, that is also positive, as our value, as its increasing nature of volume's relationship to itself. Again, but per a value nature system tactily ulterior from these. To just admit that and be trying to is a nature that coincides with what our entire species agrees with. It just can't fathom it. It just can't fathom any other form of practical because everyone's beaten slave roles, self-value. And it's not a joke too many ways because it's one thing to go up there and say, oh, I made it and I'm happy about that. But it's a total another thing to never let anyone speak our American history, which used that originally and still. Quality of fact, human nature, anything but let the order to the finite, attachment to the, and that's the finite. That's the value of the bond to matter. Because once that goes away, there is no finite. We are quality of diffusion in relationship to that, lower than we can go and higher than we could ever go. We are a quality of fact, nature, positive or negative in relationship to Allah. Positive or negative in relationship to the other natures of God, names of God, or names of of the identity actual. See, now this is also you. Even if you're like this is before the Quran, there are proofs that Allah's name was revealed. In fact, Arabic is revealed to teach about the identity of logic. In fact, L doesn't stand for logic, but for longing, that controlling as the greater value gain, as the identity of logic. As our identity is a value gain, coming into, from, and through, all things. Boxing, our own nature is in diffusion through itself. Because all parts of space is nature, which is its identity's Trinity, relationship to itself, which is 2 parts, 3 parts. It's one. Perfect value progression through a diffusion of its value. In other words, for a value transfer that it wouldn't do, but then it would do it because that value transfer makes simultaneously a value that wouldn't be there otherwise. And so then becomes the instead of 3 natures or two semi-natures by 1 nature, then it becomes 5 semi-natures as 1 semi-nature. It becomes 2 in the heartbeat. But I think even down to the why animals have hearts is in demonstration of this course. Boxing. It tells us things. Prepare our souls for value roles, Lethe of Hades. Okay, thank you, people. No one showed up. I should put rock and roll, and then everyone would show up, or rap, or hip hop. Thank you.